Is the excitement more about getting into something new or leaving poker?
A little bit of both. I mean, poker's been on the downside for quite a while now, and I was actually just telling these guys about the Heads Up Challenge with Carnegie Mellon against the Heads Up No Limit Pros at Rivers Casino, and the computer's winning this year. It's very disheartening because it's the very first time that, you know, artificial intelligence is actually able to beat a human using incomplete information. It's a huge thing because, you know, computers are very good at algorithms, you know, solving games that are like chess that are easily solvable. But when you're actually using a mixed strategy game, it's not a pure strategy game, it's a mixed strategy game in poker. So when you're using a mixed strategy game and a poker computer is able to beat a human, that's a very bad thing. So I think the outlook for poker in general is very grim. Live poker will always be there. I'm not too worried about live poker, but as far as online, I'm excited to go into stocks, and I'm also excited to leave poker. So the answer is yeah, both.
You can already see why this guy is the smartest and probably the best poker player that I know.
I just read a lot. I mean, if you read books, that's all I do. I honestly don't think I'm smart. I don't think some people have said that I'm smart. I don't believe that I'm smart at all. I just think that I'm educated. I think I read a lot, and I think anybody can become that by just taking the time to put in the work. And it's not a good story, you know, like nobody likes hearing it. You just read a lot and you study and you get to where you want to be, and that's just kind of how life works.
Do you think you put in the most time studying out of our little text group thing?
Yeah. I mean, the thing about poker, and I think you and I kind of disagree on this a little bit. You think the most valuable thing in poker that's ever happened to you is, you know, being a part of a text group and having people that you can talk to and things like that. I kind of disagree. I think that's the easiest thing you can do to get better at poker, right? It takes very little initiative on your part or anyone else's part to enter a text group and talk, you know, have meaningful discussions about hands.
Sure.
I think honestly the most valuable thing that I've done is actually sitting down and looking at the numbers, looking at the data from online, looking at the hand histories and saying, you know, definitively this is better than this, right? X is better than Y. And I think that hard data is really probably a lot more valuable than just discussions that you have with your friends, because you're kind of limited with your friend pool, right? You're kind of limited by how good the best player is in your friend pool, right? If you're friends with Doug Polk, that's probably not a bad thing, but you know, if your best friend is me, that's probably not the best thing.
We're gonna miss you. Don't go, don't leave us.
Appreciate it, Andrew.
So that's kind of the story of my night for the most part. The story of my morning, I should say. Just getting whacked left and right. One last interesting hand that came up just before the session's end, towards the end of the session. Probably stuck about $2,200 at this point. Early position raise to 30, the button and the small blind call, and I looked down at ace-5 offsuit. I think it could go any way. Folding seems a little too tight. I think you could put in a squeeze. You know, we have the ace blocker, and hand plays so-so. Offsuit ace rag, obviously not the ideal hand, but just having the blocker, and you can make a wheel, can make two pair. I think it's reasonable to put in a squeeze, and if you do get called, it's not the worst situation. But I think you can also call as well, just getting a good price and just trying to play post flop. So I make the call. I just go with the flat call, and we go four ways. Flop is ace 8-6 with two clubs. Small blind checks, I check, and the action checks around. So we go to a turn, and it's the 3 of diamonds, so it puts a backdoor flush draw up as well. Small blind checks again, and I feel like I can get some value here from some draws. There's 2 flush draws on board. There's some possible straight draws, so I decided to put in a bet, try and get some value. I bet $80. This time the initial raiser puts in a raise. He makes it 240 to go, and it folds back to me. Once again, this is a player that I've played a decent amount with. Somebody that's capable, but it's a little bit. It's an interesting spot because it's a regular player, but it's not like, not sure how to phrase it, but it's a regular player. It's a player who's a little bit older school, you might say. I suspect he probably would have played his big aces straightforward, having a flush draw on the flop. And it seems a little weird to take this opportunity to put in a raise with an ace-king type hand. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities by any means. Can't just completely discount it from his range. So he has some big aces in his range, and I think he has some flush draws in his range. So I decided to make the call, planning to call a reasonable size bet on the river. What is a reasonable size bet? I don't know. Just gonna have to feel it out, you know? So the river makes it a little bit easier on us because the river is an offsuit 5. So now we beat all those big ace type hands. We still lose to some sets, but once again, I feel like he probably would have bet his sets on the flop, having a flush draw and going multi-way. I don't think he would be trying to trap the one player behind him on the flop. Could he have pocket threes? Sure. So that's one hand that is possible that we lose to still, but it's gonna be tough to get us to fold here. So I check it to him and he bets $550. Not too much thought that's gonna go into this one. Seems like a pretty standard decision, so I call pretty quickly. And we hear some good news for once during the session. He says good call, rolls over king jack of diamonds. So we scoop that one. Pretty good size pot to get us out of the hole somewhat, obviously not the whole way. So gonna book a loss this session. That's the way it goes sometimes. All right, I'm out of here. It's like 8:30 or almost 9 a.m. now. Sleep schedule at risk of being completely ruined. Time to get out of here, time to go to bed. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the reason why I'm here in Vegas right now, I said last time when we were in New Orleans that was gonna be a multi-stop trip and I was gonna go somewhere else after New Orleans. Couldn't do it. Came down with a cold after that big night out in New Orleans. Came down with a cold. My body was none too pleased with me with that performance. Had to come back to Vegas. Had to come back and recover. So here we are, grinding it on the home turf, getting beat up on the home turf, but gonna get back on the road very shortly.